Yeah, thank you, Nate, BSN Sports, for allowing me to share. Today, again, I'm going to talk about 7 ways to effectively develop personal greatness on and off the field in today's student athlete. And so, first, just a little bit of background on myself. Like you said, I'm founder of WP3 Sports, and I grew up here in Southern California. Went on to play football at UCLA. Was also playing there cornerback with my brother, and then went into IT and raised my family. And as you see some of the pictures there of our kids who are now adults, where we have one that's graduating from UCLA this weekend. So we're excited that he's doing that. And then my daughter, she's going into her senior year at San Diego State. And then my oldest one, he's going into his 3rd season with the New York Jets. And so all of what I'm going to be speaking to today is really drawn from the repository of my experience as a player, also my experience as a parent, and not only raising my kids, but also coaching them and instilling the values through that process. Not only once I stopped coaching them when they got in high school, but then when I played more of that parent role on the mental side of the game, as well as learning to not be the coach and to be the father first when they come to the sidelines after the game. And then also just my experience as a coach, as I've coached high school and still continue to coach high school here at Vista Myriad High School here in Southern California. So all of what we're going to share today is comprised of that experience, as well as research that I've done through the program that we offer that executes what I'm going to talk about today. And then just from feedback from my parents, kids, testimonials, and so forth through the journey. So I always like to have a starting point, and the coach will come with, the coach will come out of me through this is what are we working with today? And the context of when I say youth, I'm looking at middle school to high school age. There's a lot of things in here that would apply to the collegiate level, that minor adjustments can be made to suit what they're challenged with and what they're faced with. But for the context of this, what I'm presenting today, the target audience is more so in that middle school to high school level. And so the reality of these teenage, these transitional years and what they're dealing with in terms of this generation has been raised online. They've been raised on apps, and they've been raised in that socialization. And so that puts them in a position where, a lot of them are instant gratification, short attention spans. We see challenges with parents. And then we have to look at, some of the, fallouts from the pandemic in terms of the trauma they experience with mental health, with stress and anxiety and so forth. So, I've looked at this and see what can we do, what bar can we raise, what can we infuse in our young people to bring them to the highest level, to be the most of what they created to be. And that's where this greatness, this development of personal greatness comes in today. And we've tailored what we've put together for today's youth and where they are, what they're dealing with, and ultimately not changing the standards and where we want them to go. And so when we look at working with coaches and administrators, whether you're an AD or you're a specific coach of kids, it really comes down to when we look at developing personal greatness in today's student athletes, it goes back to the why. And I know that Aspen Play Institute does a phenomenal job of researching. And as you see, winning is number 5. And I'll be honest, as a coach, and I'm as guilty as an ex-coach, that's not number 5 on my list when I'm out there coaching. And when I'm in the heat of development and coaching and trying to, get them to play their best football. And so I've learned through the years and through experience that understanding the why is bigger than just the now, bigger than just winning a game or winning a championship or winning a league title, whatever it may be. And so when we look at developing personal greatness, it really comes down to, is it going to be more of my why, of what I want, or is it going to be more of what's in the best interest of the kids and developing them to be young adults and adults that are going to contribute in society and have a healthy view of themselves and be able to have equipped with tools and resources to be successful whatever they choose to pursue. And so, again, this is the parent side of me coming out. When I say develop personal greatness, we define greatness at WP3 in three ways. We define it as being your authentic self. And that is so important and is so achievable. And we understand that through these transitional years, they're finding who they are and feeling hormones and all the changes and all the things they see online, that is hard for that. And they want to fit in and they want to belong. And so when we talk about greatness, we want them to be the greatest version of who they are. And we say that, you're made in God's image, so you're perfect the way that you are, and that there's only one of you. And so greatness is being your authentic self, but then it's also, pursuing the best version of yourself. And this is continually having a growth mindset, continually wanting to grow to be a better version of who you are. In that moment, each day, be a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday. Get away from the comparison thief of what you see online or what is going on at school or what's going on the field or on the court, but just be the best that you can be. And so we push our kids to be the best version of yourselves. And we really preach that for them to own that and to have permission and freedom to be able to pursue that unapologetically, to be the best version of who they are and to own their story as they go through this journey. And then the last piece of it is really to inspire others. And we look at inspire others through love and through acts of service. And as a coach, when there's that bond, when there's that love between the teammates, and you can watch it in the Women's College World Series or in the baseball that's going on, or even in the finals, how they interact with each other for the NBA, how love is so important in what they do and how it helps not only the experience and being a better teammate, but it also reflects on producing a better product on the field or better performance out there on the court, whatever it may be. And so when we look at those three components, they're all achievable regardless of talent level. And that's what I love about what we put forth and charge our kids to live in greatness. So today we're going to talk about how do we develop those and the 7 ways to do that. So number one, I believe it has to be team-based. And what I mean by that is our young people learn better together than trying to do something in isolation. And so if they know their friends are doing something or pursuing greatness, they'll be more likely to do it. So it's a healthy peer pressure that we look to create, similar to creating a competitive environment or culture within your program. If the bar is high and others are doing it, then the others will follow. And so if we put greatness as the standard and everyone is pursuing that as a team, then you can feel a level of connection and support and community to be engaged and be motivated to pursue that level of greatness, regardless of what may happen at class or what may happen even at home, which sometimes is counter to our young people pursuing greatness or being better. And so team-based is number one, the key if you're going to help today's youth, today's young people, today's student athlete to develop their personal greatness. Secondly, is confidence. Confidence is a skill, and I love Mel Robbins and the way that she talks about it. And it's a skill that we can continually grow and build upon. And it needs to be singled out as a core component of developing personal greatness because it affects all the other elements of our life. It affects all the other areas, and it increases the level of fulfillment and joy that they can experience in life by having a level of confidence. And this is one of our alumni, if you will, that have gone through our program talking about how the pursuit of personal greatness and what role confidence played as she interacted in our program.
I'm a freshman on varsity volleyball at Vista Maria High School. Coming into this season, I really struggled with self-confidence and growth mindset. Throughout the program, I was taught the meaning of team and what a good teammate was. In order to be a good teammate, you have to have confidence in yourself and confidence in your team. After completing the program, I feel like not only did it make me a better player, but it also made me a better person. Going through the lessons, I really saw a change in my attitude and how I was playing. For example, I began to go into practice with a competitive drive to get 1% better and not put too much pressure on getting 100% better. I had confidence going into classes during school and tests, and overall, this program just made me such a better person and had such a huge impact on me, and I'm so happy I did it.
One of the key things that she said is that she took the confidence that started on the platform of the game and her sport, and then it helped her going to class and taking tests and going to school. And that's where we want to take the beauty of sports and have that be able to impact them personally in their day-to-day lives. And that's possible. And confidence is so key. And one of the things she talks about is getting 1% better. That's an achievable goal for every player. And I know that we encourage in our program when we work with different schools or different club teams is, hey, after practice, ask the kids, how did you get 1% today? What's your 1%? Because that's attainable for everyone that participates. So confidence building, number two, is key to developing the personal greatness.
I'm a freshman.
So number three is life skills development. And life skills are, as you see in that arrow right there, is work ethic, confidence, growth mindset. These are some of the life skills that we focus on, and some that there's so much more that are in the game of sports because there's so many life lessons involved in the game. But we aim specifically week by week to focus on these. And I encourage anyone who's looking to develop personal greatness in their student athlete is to have them target and focus on one each week or one each day, and then help them to see how they're utilizing it currently in training or in the game, and then challenge them how they can transfer that into their personal lives. And so as you build that over time, you'll see them develop, that competitive drive in the classroom like they do on the field. Or you'll see them have that, perseverance or that grit when they don't get a good grade and they keep pushing themselves. And you say, well, hey, I just saw you in the field do that. And so be intentional about developing specific life skills in your student athletes, because those are so key to developing that personal greatness, that component of being the best version of yourself. So one of the things we single out, as you saw on that arrow, is leadership. That's such a key component. And leadership begins with leading yourself. And so I would encourage you, as you look at developing personal greatness, that you single out leadership and start with them leading themselves and then leading to others, and build upon that and compound that so that all of them can see that they can play a role and contribute as a leader to their team, to their class, to their school, to their home, wherever they may be. And so we go through in our program an exercise where we have specific individuals or specific position groups, like in football, because it's so big, and they share with their community, they share and communicate with their teammates about a specific life skill. And so we do that intentionally because these kids are so socially disconnected and online and doing all those different things. We want to put them in some uncomfortable situations that really cultivate the growth in them. So I would encourage you to, as you look at doing life skill development in order to develop personal greatness, put them in some uncomfortable situations that will allow them to grow and allow them to communicate directly to their peers. Because the impact of these sessions that we've seen in the program at the high school, at the travel ball level, the feedback and responses of the kids and their comments get them self-reflecting and wanting to be better. So number 4, we're talking about 7 ways to develop personal greatness in today's student athlete on and off the field. Technology. you got to have an app. And so if you're going to provide a systematic way to develop personal greatness in your student athlete, I believe you have to leverage technology because these devices are connected to them. And frankly, I'm more concerned about my device than I am my wallet. And I know even more so for them because of all the social interaction that they do within their mobile app. And so I would encourage anyone who's really looking to say, hey, this is something we want to do, that you find something that integrates technology and gets them utilizing their phones, their mobile apps in a healthy way, in a way where they can go to sites within their community that's team-based, where now they're looking at positive habits, positive contributions, everyone doing things in alignment with becoming great in who they are and being great and contributing to their team and to their community. Number 5 is really about making it fun. You know, these young people, they want to have fun. And if they're in sports, they're competitive. So make it where there's challenges involved in there and some rewards. Because if you develop a value-based system that you are controlling the type of personal development, the personal greatness you want to develop in them, and make it fun and challenging, they'll jump right in because they're doing it with their teammates. You know, they're doing it with, you know, people that they spend time with, that they know they like, they want to compete with. And so if you're doing something that's going to produce an outcome that's positive, that reflects the greatness you want to develop in them, they'll jump right in and participate. And we've seen that in our programs at WP3 that we've offered, that the kids jump in and they participate and they post and so forth. And we do specific challenges. I know this fall we're doing a digital wellness challenge to help them with how to be a digital citizen, how to behave online, how to respond to certain things, how to address cyberbullying when you're on the sideline, the impact of your decisions that you make online. You know, we're doing a mental toughness, we're doing an act of kindness, where we're having them pair in twos and go out and speak to a new friend make a new friend at lunchtime. So again, putting them in uncomfortable situations that they do together, that's going to develop their personal greatness, and along the way, inspire others through those type of actions and through those developments. And so again, if you're going to develop personal greatness, you know, these kids, they want to make it fun, and it needs to be challenged, and there's to be rewards. Just like when you go out of practice and you create a creative conditioning drill and it's competitive. I mean, at the end of the day, you're trying to develop something in them, not just to compete, but to push themselves and push each other while they're getting conditioned. And so there's no different when you're developing greatness. Be creative in doing that so that they can learn and have fun doing it. Number 6, and this is one of the most important ones, especially at the youth level, with all the commercialization of sports and the recruiting and the stars and NIL and everything else that is taken away from the true essence of the game. Parent engagement is a key component. And so when we're looking at developing personal greatness, it has to be a holistic approach. I mean, it really does. And so the parent involvement is so key, and it has to be done in a constructive way where you can set the boundaries, you set the platform for it, and hopefully the parents will run with it because you set such a positive interaction in motion that they'll take it and grow it from there. And so, you know, what we do in our program, we just have it consistently throughout there. But anything that you want to do in developing personal greatness, the parents have to be involved in some kind of way. And if you're at the collegiate level, I know the parent piece is not that important. And that's where mentorship has to be involved, whether it's with a coach or with a counselor. There has to be someone in that role of mentorship that they can draw from on a consistent basis to receive affirmation, to receive acknowledgement, and to really be built up in what they're doing. Because it's so important for them as young people and as young adults to receive that from us adults. And so this is one of the individual players that went through our program and sharing a little bit about the parent engagement piece.
I play for the Batbusters, and I really love this program because it's really made me reflect each day, each week about my performance and my practices and trainings. And now I'm just really honest with myself in terms of my effort and who I am as a teammate. It has also really provided a structure to talk with my parents. Um, I think it's really important now we talk more about my work ethic and who I am as a teammate as opposed to, how many hits I got and what I did wrong. And I think it's just a really great thing, and I think every player should get to experience this.
I will say this, our parents need help. I needed help. A lot of what has been put into this is learning from experience and reading books and hearing feedback from my kids and providing a structure that goes away from what everybody else sees in terms of statistics and performance. Like she said, her hits or how many, statistical numbers she received, how she performed at the showcase, but really focuses in on, the specific life skills, how they demonstrated grit, how they demonstrated effort, how they were as a teammate, what the work ethic is. Those elements you can control, and it helps them. So those car ride home experiences that can be very critical on our kids that they can dread can be changed and can be shifted. And so parent engagement is so key to developing personal greatness, because one of the things you can do as a parent is really see those elements, see the potential in them, and speak life into them to really affirm them in that. And so when you set that bar of greatness and that you love them, regardless of the performance outcome, it gives them a level of freedom, a level of confidence to pursue the best version of themselves. And so, again, I would encourage anyone that's going to adopt a system or sign up for a program that develops personal greatness, a parent or mentor piece is so vital. Even this past fall, we worked with some college athletes, and they mentored our 14U and 18U teams. This is a 30-minute Zoom call, and the insight of that they shared was so rich and so affirming for them, and some of the questions that they had was huge. And so I know that that's something that moving forward in the fall and moving forward, that we will use college athletes to help with our youth level participants in the program, to give that access to not only help them, but also help the college athlete to reflect on, the giving back and hold them accountable to the type of role model or the type of insights and values that they're sharing with the next generation coming up. So again, parent engagement is so vital for the development of personal greatness. So number 7, and for some might be the most important one, any program, any system that you sign up to develop personal greatness in young people, it cannot overburden coaches. We call that the knock rule. We cannot overburden coaches. And so, you have to look at, coaches need to be healthy in what they're doing. And if they're at the youth or high school level, they may be working another job, and this is what they're volunteering to do, or they may be a teacher on campus, and they're also coaching at the same time. And so when you look at that, they're wearing multiple hats, as well as being a parent at home or a husband or a wife. And so we don't want to add something on their plate that's going to overburden, because we know their original intent is to develop these young people. But we want to give them tools and resources, a tangible way that they can do it without being overburdened. And so, as we say, we want to be player focused, parents engaged and coach supported. And I know that there's, Positive Coaching Alliance, Inside Out Coaching, and those are all great resources to develop the coach. And I had the book and read the book Inside Out Coaching and so forth. But for our program, we wanted to go directly to our young people. and put the responsibility on them as teenagers, and then engage with the parents and let the coach support and facilitate the process. So, I would encourage you that if you're looking to develop personal greatness in today's student athletes, to effectively do that, you cannot overburden coaches. And one of the things we do to help them is, we have a book that I wrote that specifically speaks to those life skills we talked about, so that the parents are getting a perspective, about leadership, focus, growth mindset, confidence, that may be a little bit different than how they see it. And again, I drew from my experience as a parent, as a coach, as a player, and provided a resource for them that can help them have a little bit of different perspective to help them. And I know these parents, once that 5% think their kids are going to go get the scholarship, or then they're going to go and get to the NFL. And I have kids, by the grace of God, that both are doing that. They're doing it at the highest level. But I will say this, for my son, who, when he was in Texas, and shout out to Cedar Park, who coached him, that's on the line here. He finished last place in 100 meters his sophomore year in the state title. And we asked him, okay, what are you going to do next year? And he said, okay, I want to be on the podium. And so the process of him developing and maturing on that journey and making sacrifices, that following year, he didn't play basketball. He started preparing for track in the winter season for spring track. And he went through that whole season, and he ended up winning a state championship. But it's what he did in that journey that, again, you play that forward, he declares for the NFL draft. He runs a 4.29 and he benches 21 times. He does this great combine work, but doesn't get drafted because he was too small. But he goes on and he makes free agency. He goes to free agency. He gets on the practice squad, goes on the 53-man roster. He goes on to start on special teams, and then he goes on to start, 4 games that season. So it's the things that you put in them at this youth level that can help prepare them for whatever their life career is. It doesn't have to be a professional sport. It can be an entrepreneur. It can be an engineer. It can be a college professor, whatever it is. These elements that if you develop the personal greatness in them now, they'll be able to draw from those on their journey. So this is a summary, the 7 ways to effectively develop personal greatness. 1 is team-based, confidence, build confidence in them, target specific life skills. When you have them, whether it's in season or off season, integrate technology and make it fun, create a value-based system that can reward them for those behaviors, for those positive actions. Involve parent, or if you're to collegiate level, involve mentorship. And then lastly, not to overburden our coaches so that they can be healthy to coach. And, there's a quote that I heard from a TEDx speaker about confidence, that people will never rise above their opinion of themselves. And I believe that we can raise the opinion in our young people to a level of greatness, to be the best version of themselves, to be authentic, and to be able to inspire others. And so these are just the elements of our program at WP3. I know that there are other programs out there, but this is what we do. And these are the core, building blocks of what we're doing at the middle school, high school, the 14U to 18U level with our young people. And so I'm going to close it off really just by hearing from an athletic director specifically at Vista Marietta as we spotlight them, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Hey, my name is Carl Galloway, and I serve as the athletic director and assistant principal at Vista Marietta High School, and I'm shooting this quick video to talk a little bit about our experience with WP3. WP3 has provided an example for us to actually put some resources behind the thing that we say we care most about, which is the moral and ethical development of our student athletes. So this is an opportunity for us to provide that wraparound support and walk alongside our parents with them in a manner saying, hey, we're with you, and we're trying to help you raise that healthy adult that's going to make a difference not only in your family for years to come, but in their community as they grow up to be an adult. I think the parents have appreciated that wraparound support, and I think that's been reflected and some of the positive comments that I've received about the programs that are using WP3 and just overall well-being in the program overall. And I think lastly, for the coaches, it's been good for them to unlock a door, show up and sit down with their student athletes and take the lesson in. It wasn't as if they had to spend hours preparing for the lesson. In some cases, they unlocked the door, showed up with them, and participated in some of the exercises alongside them. And for them to be able to share that experience with their student athletes, I think for some of them was a bonding experience that's going to pay dividends for years to come in their own relationships. So overall, I felt very positive about WP3, and we look forward to continuing with them in the future.
Yep, so here's my contact information. If you want to hear specific details about the program that Carl was just referencing, and in honor of the Women's College World Series, we have some of the players there from UCLA, Oklahoma, and Arizona. So with that, I'll pass it over to Nate and stop sharing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Coach. Right off the bat, I got a question privately from Coach Johnson. She asked, what do you suggest for areas in which parent engagement is limited? Examples, economic, lifestyle challenges.
Yeah, that's a great question. Parent engagement is a challenge. And so, we didn't see 100% parent engagement. And so what we've done is the parent involvement piece is student led. So we asked for the student to go through what we call a play sheet. And it's 5 to 7 minutes where they've already filled it out, but they're sharing with their parents. So that's one way, is we make it student initiated with their parents. And then secondly, we also have a parent, what we call her the warrior parent contact. And so they help to rally the parents, whether they're a Booster Club member or someone else, to just give them communications about what's going on and different resources that are available. And then lastly, I would say is, we're doing recognition at, football games and volleyball games for kids who are participating in the program, because I know our app does the analytics around tracking streaks and so forth, like on Snapchat and these other apps that the kids participate in. So giving their kids recognition for participation are all just ways we try to draw in parents. But we understand that there are, parents with economic challenges or just time challenges that, we'll never have 100% parent engagement.
Awesome. Yeah. And we just had a coach ask about the mobile app. Is there an app that you would recommend? Is it a WP3 app? And before you answer that, I will just let her know, because she asked about the recording. This will be sent out. The recording of this will be sent out within 2 to 3 days. But go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I have a mobile app for my program at WP3, and it's available in the Google Store as well as in the Apple Store to download. It's free. And so the content as it relates to the specifics of the program, meaning the confidence building exercise, life skill development, the training videos, all those different elements that are embodied into our program, those are, obviously paid subscriptions there, but you'll be able to see some of the main wall, some of the ways the kids are participating in some of the content that's involved there. And we create within our community of those that are on the app, positivity. There's no body shaming, cyberbullying, and our partner has algorithms and AI involved that allows them to pick up keywords and be able to remove them. But I love how if a player does that they're part of a team, which then we go to a coach and so forth. So yeah, WP3 Live in Greatness app is what we use.
Awesome. Thank you. Then Coach Laura here just talks about that she's hoping to have a preseason parents-only barbecue potluck to get them to hang out together and come up with ways to support all kids, not just their own. She says she hasn't done this before, but hoping to piggyback on my parent-athlete preseason meeting with this. So, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great idea to get the parents out, always around food. And in my program, what we do is I make it mandatory that I get a chance to speak at the parent meeting at the beginning of the season. And, every coach has a parent meeting, and I ask to be on the agenda so that I can share with them the program, and I can share with them their level of involvement. I can share with them even the benefits, the testimonials of some of the athletes that have gone through it. And so when they see that it's only, 5 to 7 minutes and they're reading maybe 4 or 5, pages in a small book, usually that sparks, some of them to take action on it. So that's a great idea.
Coach, you talked about putting the kids in uncomfortable situations, which I love because obviously, even in games, they're going to be put in uncomfortable situations all the time. Can you give some examples of what you mean by that in terms of if it's like public speaking or making them talk to certain players, that kind of thing?
Yeah. So what we do specifically is a part of the program. We work on one life skill every week. So what you saw on the arrow, we go from character to work ethic to growth mindset to 1 week we spend on each one of those life skills. And so what we assign, like for girls volleyball, there was 2 girls that are assigned each week to every life skill, and they share with their teammates. And in football, we do it where they by position group, and they share with their teammates. And so that makes them uncomfortable, and in talking with them and getting feedback, they're glad they did it, and they grew as a result of it. But it also allows everyone on the team to say, well, I have to do that too. And so the way that they respond to them, knowing that they have to participate in that way, makes it more positive. But we also do these challenges where, we had a mentorship challenge. So we had some of the older kids mentor some of the younger ones, and they had to ask questions like, what would you tell your younger self at 14, and you're a 18U player, or you're senior and you're freshman. So we just have them talk about those type of things. And then, things like the acts of care and kindness, we challenge them to go out and demonstrate some type of action of care or love or kindness towards someone else. And then even pairing up during lunchtime to go and sit with somebody you don't know and make friends with them. And so we do these type of things to make it uncomfortable. And we're even going to have, we have a school in San Diego, and we have a school in Riverside, and one here in Marietta, and they're going to go through the challenge at the same time. And they're going to post their results on the main page for everyone to see. And so again, putting them out there where everyone is doing it and it's positive, is something that we really push them towards, because I think that's where a lot of the growth is going to happen.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Coach. And I think what you're doing is incredible. And I just want to also thank all the coaches who took the time to hop on today. If you have any more questions for Coach, please feel free to throw them in the chat and we'll get to them. But looks like I use the pairing up with someone you don't know as an icebreaker in my class. Okay, yeah. It's a great idea.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I think there's another, can we come up and ask the question? Someone wants the mic, Nate. I think they want to get on the mic and ask the question.
Unfortunately, we can't allow that, but if you do want to throw the question in the chat or privately, we're more than happy to do that. And again, this presentation will be sent out to you guys within 2 to 3 days. I did just drop Coach's link for his book in the chat as well, if you want to take a look at that.
Yes, and if you email me, I can send you my Calendly link, and you can schedule a 30-minute appointment with me, and we can just go in details or ask any questions or how this might work for your school or your program. And we've seen it where we have one or two teams that will participate the first time around, and then scale it from there. So the coaches that are on board with doing this, they're usually pretty receptive.
Awesome. All right, this looks like a little bit of a long-winded question, but we'll get it. Would love your point of view on the following question. In acknowledging that correlation is not causation, would you attribute any challenges in leadership building to social media platforms like TikTok? For example, a majority of the youth have fostered the habit to copying, aka following the viral video of the day, challenges, pranks, etc., being more more creative and trend setting for themselves. Maybe this doesn't have as big of a toll, but it's a question that sparked my interest, especially with a 3-year-old daughter. I want her to enjoy social media the way all kids do, but want to promote leadership at the same time.
Well, yes, TikTok definitely is influencing our young people as it relates to leadership and just how they consume information, what their attention span is. There's a lot of studies that have been shown the impact of social media, but we have the choice of making it positive or it being negative, and so it really comes down to communication with your daughter or your son, and helping them to process that, help them to unpack what they're doing so that they can make more informed choices that align with who they want to be, who they are, in the pursuit of their own greatness. And so, in and of themselves, yes, it can directly impact it. But again, the relationship between you and your child, or coaches to their teammates, which is why we're adding a digital wellness component for 1 week in our program, because we know a lot of parents aren't having these type of conversations, and so it's not sufficient to sign a social media contract and say I won't do X, Y, and Z, but then you don't teach them how to do that. So again, communication with your child will help them decipher what leadership is and how TikTok can either help you, because it can help you build your brand and what you're doing. And I talk about this with our kids. Even these TikTok influencers, they're focused, they're disciplined, they're creative, they're confident, all these things that are in the game, they're displaying that consistently. And so they can learn from the experience.
Awesome. I think that's a great answer, Coach. And thank you again so much for your time. I'm going to go ahead and throw in your Calendly info here in the chat. So
Yes,
if anyone wants to schedule an appointment, they can just go right there.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you guys so much for attending today. If you have any more questions, feel free to email me or Coach, and we'll make sure we get them answered for you.
All right. Thank you all for attending. Thank you, Nate and BSN Sports. I really appreciate it. And let's all join together in helping to develop personal greatness in our young people.
Absolutely. Thank you, Coach.
All right.
Have a good one.
All right.
Bye.
God bless.